Good afternoon.
Good evening, wherever you are on this amazing planet of ours. I'm Ariel.
I'm Shya.
Welcome to being here.
That's right. Welcome to being here.
This is an opportunity to step into your brilliance. And it doesn't require you to do anything, although listening.
Well, you know what's interesting about all this?
What?
Our listeners are brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, they wouldn't be listening to our podcast.
Yes.
But they doubt their brilliance.
Yes.
So, but I lost track of where I was going.
Well, I had a flash that brilliance in the dictionary says, or a brilliant human is someone who, I don't know, people doubt themselves. That's part of being human.
Yeah, well, yeah, but you can doubt yourself. That's because you're not engaged in
Correct.
Whatever it is you're up to. When you engage in your life, you are brilliant. When you think about your life, you're in trouble. You can never do your life well enough for your mind to be satisfied. In fact, no matter how good you are at whatever you do, your internal conversation will find fault with you for the smallest of things or the biggest of things. No matter how great your wins, your internal conversation, your mind, will find something to invalidate you with.
Part of it is experience is so immediate. And then the moment you start thinking, you drop out of the experience. And as you were speaking, Shya, my mind flicked up to the wall in front of me. And I see these photos I've taken over the years that are brilliant. And so when I look out and see, I have this experience. But if I stop to think about, it includes the vast array of anything I've ever said to myself that was negative.
Your mind is set up for more, different, and better. Mm-hmm. So, and it's locked in change. Change is incremental, takes place over time, and it's comparative. Better, worse, good, bad, right, wrong. All that exists in the realm of change. Transformation is based in the isness of the moment. It's not about getting somewhere better. It's about being exactly where you are in this moment, because this is where your life is taking place. But to the mind, that's not enough. You need more, better, or different. So people are forever caught trying to get to what they think will produce satisfaction, well-being, happiness, but they miss because nothing will produce it except your being in the current moment.
Well, that's part of why we call it step into your brilliance, as opposed to think about whether or not
you are. Yeah. How about we take our first guest?
Let's do that. Speaking of brilliant. Hey, Thomas. Welcome to being here. Tell people where you're zooming in from.
Hey, Ariel and Shya. I'm Thomas from Allschwil in Switzerland.
Allschwil.
Yes.
All right.
I have to wrap my mouth around that. It's a different word than Milford.
Yeah, it's a bit difficult, yeah.
What can we do for you, my friend?
Well, when I read the topic for today, which is, you're brilliant, at least in some moments, my question about that is, isn't that a bit, how should I say that, judgmental or comparative to say I'm brilliant, or at least in some ways or some moments? Because when I say that I'm brilliant right now, I'm comparing myself to time when I haven't been brilliant or didn't feel brilliant.
That's a good question.
Perhaps we misled you with the word no. You know you are brilliant, at least in some moments or about some things. It might be more accurate to frame it, you've experienced your brilliance, at least in some moments, while doing certain activities. Is that a more accurate statement?
It sounds different, yeah.
Yeah. So that was our intention.
I see.
Like because it clarifies it. It's not about comparing, it's about recognizing that you have that experience, and that for most of us, it's fleeting, it comes and goes. And it's about taking a look at what interrupts that experience.
Here's the thing. Let's talk about experience. Experience is not thinking about how you're doing. That's thinking about how you're doing. Experience is in the act of whatever you're involved in. That's all you're involved in. There isn't a thought process about how am I doing here. The mind, the conversation that you listen to that says its name is Thomas from Auschwitz, that conversation does not experience anything. It's a concept machine.
That talks about everything.
That talks about everything. And it judges everything. But when you're in your experience of living, the air tastes good. You know, you feel the cold on your face when you go outside. If it's where
you can see the colors outside.
Exactly. You see the colors. Life is three-dimensional. It's technicolor. That's when you're in your experience. Thinking about things, everything becomes two-dimensional and black and white or gray. Well, now, that was not a pun on Switzerland. But most of the clothes there are black or white or gray.
Or Loden green.
Loden green.
But you know, it's interesting. I happen to know or have experienced your brilliance as a photographer. You take, your style is very, very different than mine, but I so enjoy looking at what you do. There's like, when I look at it, the experience of your brilliance comes through. It inspires an in-breath in me when I see some of the things that you've done. And I suspect when you're framing a photo and you're there, and of course, I'm sure you play with it once you get it into Photoshop or whatever you use, but it's like you're there to see the blossoming of that moment when you click the shutter so that your camera captures that image.
See, now, your thoughts don't want you to be brilliant.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
That is arrogant.
Arrogant, prideful. You don't want that.
It's one of those 7 deadly sins here, hidden in there somewhere.
Right. So that you have the experience of seeing the magic of your life in a moment and capturing it in a photograph. That requires not thinking about how to do it.
No.
Being there for it. And in that moment, you are brilliant. Now, when you think about it afterwards, of course, you find everything that was wrong with you.
Yeah. I should have done it earlier or different or...
Yes, but what if there's nothing wrong with you? What if you are just a magnificent being that happens to have thoughts that there's something wrong with you? Now, look, the country that you grew up in, the religion you grew up in, the family that you grew up in has given you ideas about who you are and what you're capable of.
Yeah, right.
And that's true for all of us, but they're all different because we've had different experiences.
It's like a flavor. It's all ice cream, different flavors.
Right. So, you know, I'm not surprised if you have thoughts that you're not very brilliant. But, you know, even that I said very brilliant, Because brilliance is not in very, it's you're brilliant or you're not brilliant. It's like a light switch that's not on a rheostat. It's on or it's not on. When you're in the moment, when you're present in your experience of living, you are brilliant. When you're in your thoughts and working on yourself and telling yourself you should have done it differently, you should be better, you should, could, would, any of those words indicate that you're lost in your thoughts.
Yeah.
I have a question for you. I'm wondering if you had this experience. I don't know how you catalog your photos. Maybe you are much more or have a different organization than I have. But I know in our iPhoto gallery, which is where we have it up in the cloud, we have more than 50,000 photos.
So do I, yes.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Here's my question. Do you ever take a photo, take an image, and at the time you think, oh, that's pretty good, or maybe if I'd done it earlier or later, what you were describing, you go away from it for a period of time, maybe even a couple of years, and you come upon it again, and you suddenly have the experience of it rather than the conversation where you go, oh,
wow, that's a great picture.
Yeah, that happens quite often, yeah.
Yeah, I love that. That's when I've had a separation between my judgmental mind and the experience of what I'm looking at.
Especially when I find pictures that I didn't know existed.
Yes.
Yeah, you took them so long ago, you forgot that they exist.
Then how do you explain that? I mean,
I don't mean to get you self-conscious, but I really am impressed with who we're speaking to right now.
Mm-hmm.
In that I haven't seen this Thomas before. And I've seen you before.
You're so you. There's this full-blown Thomasness that, in my experience, is new.
Yes.
I mean, even the question you led with was brilliant. It opened up a whole new possibility for us in seeing this, particularly because we have a course coming up, Step Into Your Brilliance. And that verbiage we used is in the course description. Now, we didn't do it wrong, but there's a whole new possibility that opens up out of the question you posed for us in our new experience of this topic. So it's so exciting to be with you.
Thank you. And I want to say the thing you said of finding old pictures happened to me recently. My niece, she's now 12 years old. I recently found a picture of her I'd taken when she was just a few days old. And I couldn't believe it, how she looked and how the picture is so nice and special.
You know what's really fun about that, not only for you, for me, and for all our listeners, is your perspective on yourself today is probably wider, deeper, more gracious toward yourself than you were 12 years ago.
It is, yeah.
When you look at who you were and what you were able to accomplish
12 years ago, when you thought you were not
so
accomplished,
cool.
You've been a lot kinder to yourself recently.
Yes, yes, of course, yeah.
A lot less judgmental.
Yes.
And I don't want to take credit for that. You have the credit for that because you've attended seminars where you've discovered that you're not that conversation that you've been listening to that finds all the flaws or faults that it considers wrong with you. You're this amazing being. And so you've done some work to have your life. It's not really work, but you've brought awareness, a non-judgmental seeing to how you are in life, and you come away pretty good now.
Thank you. Yeah.
Whereas 12 years ago, when you took that picture, you were really hard on yourself back then.
Yeah.
And you still produced a brilliant picture.
Yeah, it's it's fun to have this conversation, Thomas, because I think most of us have a repetitive conversation that has little minute complementary upgrades as we go along that still talks about our inadequacies, and it's just slightly tweaked and goes forward. So it's fun to be able to look and see how incredible you were as a photographer 12 years ago when you didn't have all of the experience you've had under your belt in the last 12 years. And, it's fun to see that because people underestimate themselves. Yeah. And having that experience is a good lever to support you and popping yourself out of those conversations when they start to take over.
I'll tell you something, Thomas. I think that you've had your attention on you, and you have a lot to offer people. And when you take your attention off yourself, you get better naturally. When you put your attention on yourself, you see everything that's wrong with you, apparently, from that point of view, rather than when you allow yourself to be of service to others, your life expands.
Yeah, that's true.
What you just said, Shya, I see that as like almost like a Zen koan, where you hold something up as a possibility, like being of service. It's an open-ended possibility.
Well, look, here we all come to this game called self-awareness. I'm calling it that because I am from a position of broken.
And then we want to get better.
And that we want to get better. That there's something wrong with us, and then we want to get better. Interestingly enough, when you come from that position, it's really hard to get better. Because it's like editing and writing at the same time. Where you are editing the words you're using as you write a paragraph. You never get to the end of the paragraph because you're constantly finding that, this would be better, that's not good, this is better, etc. Well, it's that way with transformation. When you take your attention off you and how you're doing and put your attention on taking care of other people around you, suddenly you get better all on your own. It doesn't take doing. See, you'd get better naturally if you left you alone. And I say that, I'm not specifically saying this you to Thomas. I'm saying to you, to anybody who's listening, you leave you alone, you'll get better. You pick on yourself constantly. It's like picking on a scab. Then you scar.
It's challenging because at first we're so used to problem solution change modality that we're afraid if we let go of that, we won't reach our goals.
Well, it's also part of the whole psychological paradigm that we've been raised in, that we need to get better and fix and do more, and you're not enough as you are.
And what if we start to discover how great we've been all along? We've just disregarded that part. Like 12 years ago.
I did.
Well, welcome to the club. It's true about everyone I've ever met.
Yes.
So, wow, what a unexpectedly sweet gift it has been to be with you today.
Yes,
really.
Thomas.
Thank you very much.
I've just discovered Thomas for the very first time. Really. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. It's that time.
The time for what?
Our listener feedback spotlight.
What is that?
Well, I'm so proud of the people who listen to this show. And now we get to hear from one or more of them about what's happening in their lives with transformation by listening to this podcast and
what they've discovered about life, what they've discovered about their lives, that they are experiencing fun in their lives.
And that they want to share it with you.
Yeah.
Hi, this is Trey from Charlotte, North Carolina. And there's a magical experience that you can get and feel when you get a chance to be here with Ariel, Shya, and the whole community. I'm always amazed with what kind of great things you learn and see, but it's all about being. So thanks for taking the opportunity and enjoying the opportunity of being here.
Do you want to have well-being with consistency? Connect with people all over the world from the comfort of your own home at Ariel and Shya's lively interactive Living Made Easy virtual seminars. Join any of their 2-hour online events or take a deep dive into the magic of being you at a virtual weekend seminar. Come on, let's connect. Find out more and register at transformationmadeeasy.com.
You are invited to a Living Made Easy 2-hour seminar. The next ones are coming up this Saturday. It's translated into German for our European community, and next Monday evening. Our next Zoom weekend seminar is the following weekend, April 22nd and 23rd. And drum roll, please. The theme is
Step into your brilliance.
Yes. So if you would like to experience your brilliance with consistency, it's a great place to come practice.
Please join us. Yes.
Our next in-person course is in Hamburg, Germany. It's over Memorial Day weekend for those of you who are in the US, Pentecost for those who are in the European community. The Freedom to Breathe is on Thursday, May 25th, and then Fun as the Access Way to Enlightenment.
Wouldn't that be fun? Just have fun and be enlightened as
May
a result.
26th, 27th, and 28th. You can find out more about any and all of our seminars, and you can register, and you can even sign up for our newsletter at transformationmadeeasy.com.
Now, I don't see anything about Costa Rica being open.
Costa Rica, it is open.
I know, that's why
I'm filling.
Yes.
And the early registration discount is May 1st. So if you want to come
and you want to get
a good
deal,
again, you can go to transformationmadeeasy.com and find out all the details. Thank you. 1 or 2 weeks. I didn't put it in the.
I see that, but that's cool.
Let's take Utah, shall we?
Yes, let's take Utah.
Hello. This is Jutta. I'm calling in from Hademstorf, a small village in Germany.
Nice to see you.
Yes.
Welcome.
Thank you. Nice to see you. Yeah, I love the topic. I actually got to know about the topic only while I dialed in the call. I didn't know beforehand. I didn't read it somehow. And I was like, I'm so lucky to have that topic. And you mentioned the quote from William Shakespeare, "Don't be afraid of greatness." Mm-hmm. That is a quote I had a time when I was looking at it. I think it was on one of the calendars I was having in my kitchen, and I used to look it up each and every morning and saying it to me. And I just love it. And when I hear you talking about that, the topic and the quote, I got goosebumps. And it's touching me so much also because I have one topic in my life. I'm passionate, amongst other things, about horseback riding. And I do it the Western style, like cowboys and cowgirls with nice clothing. And it's really, I really love it. And I also participate in horse shows. So I participate in competitions, and I'm quite competitive, always been. And I'm so happy also by attending your seminars, that I can see that I'm competitive and I don't beat myself up for being competitive, but seeing it and taking it in. What I discovered, especially last year during our show season, is when I'm participating, I'm very much excited about it. And when I go into the actual class with my horse, I sometimes get so nervous I'm not there anymore. And I'm just like, I start to shiver. I'm being afraid I mess it up, and it's mirrored by my horse. She's feeling that something is wrong, and I had the idea, why not just being brilliant as I am? I know how to do it. I know how to ride. And that kept me busy in my mind.
Let me stop you here because it's very interesting. You know, that conversation you have that says, I need to be still, I need to be more relaxed, that conversation is what keeps you from being relaxed. See, when you get up on a horse, you're relaxed until you start listening to those thoughts that tell you you're not.
And you're trying to get somewhere on that horse. So if you're in a competition, somewhere, at least in the back of your mind, you want to win. So, and you also have your attention out being judged.
Yes.
So you've got your goals, you've got your objections, your objectives, you've got your picture on you. It reminds me of that movie we were watching with Tom Cruise, The Last Samurai, where the characters in there, they were training him to do martial arts with no mind. Stop worrying about what's happening, just be right where you are. And you're trying to have a better conversation in resistance of the conversation and experience you're having.
It's so true.
And the better conversation is more of the same. Because if you're trying to do it better, you're already in comparison. You're already in time. See, your brilliance shows up outside of time. It shows up when you are being in the current moment of your life. When you're thinking about how to be better, you're saying that the current moment is somehow imperfect or not enough, flawed, broken, rather than this is the way you are in this moment. If you allow yourself to be the way you are in the current moment, it transforms in an instant.
You know, it's interesting. The quote
That's the third principle, by the way.
The quote you gave was inaccurate, which I found is fun, because you came back with it as don't be afraid. So it's like, no, stop, don't be afraid. And while it's just a slight tweak, and be not afraid, like step into being not afraid, which is kind of,
it's not
Shakespeare and all that.
But you see, don't is a directive. Be not afraid.
It's kind of a directive too, but still, that you were saying don't be afraid is what
saying that it's telling you to be afraid, because what you resist persists. So if you resist being afraid, it causes more fear. If you allow yourself to be with what is, it completes itself.
You know, I don't advocate fear, but I recall hearing an elite athlete who was a sprinter, and he won many, many, many Olympics. And I don't recall who it was at the moment, but I remember being so struck by the interview with him. They were asking about being nervous, and he said, if I'm not nervous, I don't do my best. Mm-hmm. It was interesting that he embraced it when he had it as a
sign that he's going to do well,
as an access way to his brilliance, as opposed to something to get away from.
That's very cool. That's very cool. I have resisted it each and every time, and I got nervous. No, there's no reason to get nervous. No.
You can't talk yourself out of being nervous, but you can allow yourself to feel what it feels like, and look out and see what needs to be done. And that will pull you out of those thoughts and that conversation about being nervous.
There was something else that was in your voice, in your words, when you said, I'm very competitive, and you laughed a little bit. it was like a push-pull kind of part of Utah, one where you enjoy being competitive and the other where you're a little embarrassed by how competitive
Well,
you are.
you've got competitive as bad.
You've got lots of meanings in there.
You don't have competitive as a good trait.
Well, you might, but it's secret because you're not supposed to be a good trait. You should, there's a whole conversation in the back.
Now you're smiling here, and this is only an audio recording.
Yeah. Yeah. That's very interesting. Yeah, I still have those mixed feelings about being competitive. I like it and I find it cool and I'm kind of proud of it. And on the other hand, it's
has it occurred to you to go to a quote competition and go out there with your horse and just be self-expressive? This is me. This is my horse. Here we are.
Have
fun.
See, it's not a mistake that fun as the access way to enlightenment is coming to Hamburg.
That's true.
Fun is the access way to your brilliance. There's a rather famous Einstein quote about fun is the greatest
highest form of research.
There you go. Thank you for saving me from butchering it. But
we finish each other's sentences.
And I had the essence of it.
You did.
That when you're having fun, you become self-expressive. You are in the experience of living rather than thinking about whether you're doing it right.
And when you're not having fun, chances are you're either telling yourself whatever you're up to is a chore or you're trying to get somewhere better than where you are right now.
Very true.
And these competitions you're in, all they do is express where you are in your competence in the current moment. So it's all good. Even if you don't win,
it's feedback.
It's feedback for what you need to do to improve.
Exactly. And it's I do it for fun.
But you forget that
but you forget to have fun when you're nervous about being judged.
That's so true. That's so true.
You could have the fun, the nerves be fun. There was at some point in our career, as you've known us for a while, we've had lots of different themes for seminars, for weekends, and sometimes for evenings. And I recall there was one, it was many, many years ago, back when we were at 2 and 1. It was like many years ago, where we were doing something new. It might have been transformation in the workplace or something we hadn't done before. And I was nervous. And I realized what an opportunity, because it would never be the first time we'd done this theme again. This was it. And I could embrace that and enjoy it and harness that, or I could invest in a conversation about whether or not it would be any good. It was so exciting to find the nerves were like excitement percolating up, like bubbles coming up in a fizzy drink, as opposed to something to shy away from.
I can picture it. The bubbles. That's lovely. Very lovely.
But if you tamp down and shake it up, it wants to explode.
And it does. Wonderful.
Nice being with you today.
Yeah, you look gorgeous, lady.
Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. Thank you so much. Pleasure to see you looking so good.
Hey, if you'd like to be a guest like Yuta or Thomas, or if you'd like to submit your experience of transformation, what we call a listener spotlight, it's that real life people who are in the middle of the show talking about their experience of transformation, or the podcast, you can do that. We'd be happy to have you. Just go to transformationmadeeasy.com/being here and find out how. Next week's podcast, you ready?
What gives you the right to be bold?
That sounds like a good one. We'll be back next week, so come on back.
And don't miss being here.